So to kick off looking through the knives that I have in my personal collection, which is only a shoebox worth at the moment, figured that I could start looking at really expensive, really nice knives I have, but then I realized I don't have any of those. And I thought, should I look at the nicest knife I have? I thought, nah, let's look at the cheapest knives I have. And let's start with the only ones that have gotten any kind of real pocket time. Starting with this one here. Just your no-name kind of Swiss Army copy folder jobble. And this was just one that, roadside stop, wooden scales with, an initial engraved in kind of thing. Those have since fallen off, as you can clearly tell. That's because it did get that much pocket time. It's a point in time where it lost my Victorinox. So this is what I went for, because I was given it, as you can see. And this is just your no-name thing, but there's really no proper stop at the back even on the knife. And as well as I ended up putting a little tiny one of those safety knives things on the knife as well. Can't remember why. Oh, very stiff. I haven't touched this thing or opened it in like 4 years at this point. So it just kind of sits in my collection. It was a gift. So I've still got the scales somewhere. I always meant to glue those back on, but I'm not entirely sure where they got off to be truthful. Anyways, the only other one that's gotten any kind of real pocket time is this guy here. And that's not even by me. My little brother, who was 13, 14 at the time, I had nicked it off me. I didn't even notice it was missing. Truthfully, I think I was living down in the States at that point, and it actually left this up in Canada because it wasn't worth bringing with me. It's just one of those cheap little folders. Actually ended up, when we were down in the States, when they came down to visit me, basically taking it off him and buying him a proper, what did I get him again? I think I got him a squirt or something, a KRCK. It's KRCK. This is where my mouth fails me, and I have to look at one of the knives that's sitting beside me. CRKT. Bloody hell, I don't know why I always have difficulty remembering that. CRKT. I believe I got him a little squirt, as this right here just became unsafe. Doesn't even open properly now, but when I took it off him, opened up all the way and wouldn't lock up. Like, okay. There we go. I can force it, but you can see barely locks up there. Oh. That ended up forcing it to lock up more. But as you can see, there we go. Nope, no lockup. And you can't even push on thumb stud. So if you bring it out, nothing, you have to really force it. And even still, it barely gives you a lockup. I don't know. I think I originally bought this. Well, honestly, I bought it because it was shiny and blue and cheap. And I think I kept it in my car as a car knife for a while, just because of the glass breaker and the seatbelt cutter, which I never bothered checking. But eventually I just got something better. But those are the only two that have featured any real pocket time. Originally one was by my brother. The only one that has had minimum pocket time is this little no-name cheap gents folder kind of thing, pen knife more than anything. But again, I got it because it's like, you know, shiny and blue and cheap, has chips. I don't know. And at the time I'd occasionally throw it on if I was wearing a suit somewhere. It was just a nice little, incredibly thin little pen knife. And nobody's gonna, like, you know, flip out if you pull that open. Decent stop on this one. Let's see. Not a knife. Well, it does have a knife, but as you can see, I can barely get that thing to open. Little tiny pliers. And as for how cheap these were free. The story behind these is actually when I was in a scouting type group. So, you know, mid-teens maybe. One of the leaders for that brought in a box that he'd gotten from work and just like gave everybody one or two. But not disadvantaged as to there's a word. But not a problem to have a small little pair of pliers, especially if it's free. Now, moving on, and I assure you that my collection does have nice things in it. These are just the not so nice things. This one is an Osmac Trail, Ostrac. I don't know how they want that pronounced, honestly. English, well, being the only language I know, is not a language I know very well. But got this one, and I've got this one. And really the only reasons I bought these was the simple fact is I have no real self-control. I think one was $2.50 and the other was $3. And I thought, oops, sorry. And I thought, you know, they're gonna be bad, but you know, but the detent is incredibly soft in them, so that flipper gets you maybe halfway out. There's no oh, if you're careful, you can do a little spotty flick, but a bit difficult. And like that, but it's all just, you know, mystery steel, just straight up plastic handles. But what can you expect for $3? And of course, they didn't do this out of the package. Just a matter of actually, I had to take these apart, give them a bit of an oil in order for them to flick out like that. I wasn't expecting to be able to get them that much. As I said, the detent is very, very soft. But as they are, they're not. You can get much worse knives for more money. I have to say they're not worth carrying, but this one here lives in a little 72-hour kit, just as an emergency backup blade that I never have to look at or think about at any time. And this one just sits in my collection. Down to the last two blades. One is this one, which I got at a point, I think this is a cold steel, which I got at a point where I thought boot knives were, cool. Don't know if you can tell that with the tip. Barely tell, but the tip is bent just right there. Again, this has never gotten any hard use, although it looks like it has. But, it was cheap. And lastly, is this guy here. It's just one of those cheap, like, $5-10 fixed blade survival knife things that sold. Again, most of these knives that I got when I was fairly young, past these guys, which I got because I'm, an idiot with no self-control. But one of the things about these ones is they never have nice sheaths. They're always that foam padded stuff. So I decided to make a leather sheath and managed to do everything more or less wrong with it. It was my very first kind of foray into leather goods. As you can see, this is hanging off of the leather. The buckle here and this thing, not the buckle, the rivet there, and that thing there means that pushes there. I didn't cut enough leather in order to have another rivet there. And I put this here on the wrong side, so when you grab it, you can't unclip it. You have to do that all around. Very awkward. But I learned from it. And I'm still learning from it. Yeah. Those would be my cheap knives. Not my inexpensive knives, mind you, but the knives that aren't really probably worth, probably more what you'd call a knife-shaped object than a true knife. Anyways, I think that's enough filler words for today, so cheers.